and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java with a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Serious is overrated. Every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town, but in a jest. Morning whiz is always best. Time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my god, Shizzy breaks Larry. Shizzy broke Larry.
Good morning, everybody. What a beautiful day to be alive, to be awake, be sitting here with all you fine people. Good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Another morning going by, another evening that was just went by. Oh my gosh, little. We usually have wind. Well, that sucks. I hate the cold. I hope you guys are enjoying the nice weather I see. No, thank you. Give it to me nice and hot. I like just getting a nice, warm shower. I enjoy having to jump in the water to get cool. I like coastal, I don't like the cold. Of course, Jacksonville isn't doing much better. It got cold there too. I've seen pictures of alligators frozen in the water. No, thank you. You guys keep all that cold. Keep it away from me. Keep it far away from me. I feel like the cold is the demon. The demon I don't want to touch. No, I don't like it. AOC and the Democrats Jew-splaining. And anti-Semitism is anti-Semitism. And why would Scott Pinsker say that? Why would he say that? Well, it's the strangest, most bizarre version of Where's Waldo that Scott has ever seen. If you're on the political left, grab your glasses, fire up your Blue Sky account, and get ready to play the trendiest game in the land. Find the Yahtzee. The year is 2025. World War II ended 80 years ago. Spoiler. The little artist with the bad mustache didn't win, but apparently Yahtzees are still everywhere. Putin claimed the Yahtzees are in Ukraine. Biden claimed the Russians are the Yahtzees. Hamas claimed the Yahtzees are in Israel. Governor Trudeau apologized for honoring a Yahtzee in the Canadian Parliament. It's been alleged that Yahtzees are inspiring communist China and their close ally, North Korea. Yahtzees, Yahtzees, Yahtzees. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat, New York. 35-year-old ex-bartender who would probably disagree with all the above Yahtzee sightings, but with one notable exception, Hamas is right. The Israelis are Yahtzees. Along with her fellow squad members, AOC and her cohorts never miss an opportunity to vilify the Jewish homeland. They even voted against a non-binding resolution that simply said the state of Israel is not a racist or apartheid state, and that Congress rejects all forms of anti-Semitism and xenophobia. I guess that was a bridge too far. Then, just a few months later, she accused Israel of committing genocide against the Palestinians. See, told you. The Jews are Yahtzees. The other squad members are just as insidious with their anti-Jew invectives and pathological loathing of Israel. They support the boycott, divest in sanctions, which is that BDS, movement against Israel, hoping to isolate the Jewish homeland and further weaken it. They even voted against funding Israel's Iron Dome missile system, a purely defensive system that protects civilians from being slaughtered by missiles, rockets, and artillery from terrorists. But those pesky Jews, they don't deserve safety. They shouldn't be here in the first place. At that point, even her fellow Democrats had enough of the squad's Jew-hating bigotry. Representative Ted Deutsch, a Democrat of Florida, exclaimed, to advocate for the dismantling of the Jewish state in the world when there's no place on the map for one Jewish state, that's anti-Semitism, and I reject that. The squad, they peddle vile, cruel tropes that echo the sentiments of history's most depraved Jew haters. Israel has hypnotized the world. May Allah awaken the people and help them see the evil things of Israel, read a squad member's tweet. Naturally, the Jews accomplish this by weaponizing money. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Well, today, American Jews are being attacked, injured, harassed, bullied, and assaulted on college campuses. After Hamas launched a sneak attack that targeted civilians for murder, for raping, for torture, kidnappings, anti-Semitic incidents on college campuses have skyrocketed by 700%. And it's not conservatives who are doing the harassing, it's left-wing anti-Israel radicals. But AOC refuses any accountability for the bigotry, violence, the Jew-hating on the left. She closes her eyes, pretends it doesn't exist. Instead, she accuses conservatives of being Yahtzees, not because of what they say or how they vote or what they believe. It's just because of their hand gestures. She even chastised the Anti-Defamation League for being pro-Yahtzee. She says, to be clear, you're defending the little German man salute that was performed and repeated for emphasis and clarity. People can officially stop listening to you as any sort of reputable source of information. Now you work for them. Thank you for making that crystal clear to all. There's a lovely Yiddish word that describes her behavior, and I can't pronounce it properly. I think it's puts, whatever. AOC, who didn't even want Israel to have a missile defense system, has joined herself DC Yahtzee detector. The ADL might not know what the heck anti-Semitism looks like, but unfortunately, AOC is there to Jew-splain to them. And wait until you hear her BS. Oh, good morning, Rickles 64. Just to note you are appreciated. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you guys too. You really don't understand how much fun that you guys make all of this. Like I said, be entertained. Love it. There we go. That one's for you right there. Oh yeah. Building that thing up. Making it good. Making it good. Thank you so much, Rickles. I feel appreciated. We're 35. Yeah, here we go with her little rant.
This is the United States of America. And I don't care what Elon Musk is doing behind a presidential seal. In this country, we hate Nazis. Kind of like a foundational defining thing. Two of probably the most foundational defining things about American history is that we beat the Confederates and we beat the Nazis. And I don't know what side people may be on today, but I still am not rocking with anyone sympathetic to Nazis. And I will do that until I am 6 feet in the ground, like kind of foundational to me as a human being. And so
Sure.
if you're cool and want to defend the Sig Heils and the Nazi salutes, all the, whatever you want to do, that's on you. I'm on the opposite side of that. I'm not with the Nazis. How about that? I mean, but it's very important for us to assert these things.
Because you're an idiot. She says she's not with the Yazidis. She insisted in the video, of course not. She simply wants to destroy the Jewish homeland. Strip Israeli civilians of self-defense, provide cover for the Jew-hating allies, rebuild Hamas, remove Jews from all disputed regions, and allow Jewish Americans to be harassed on college campuses. Thanks for Jew-splaining, AOC, but most Jews, when they're not hypnotizing the world with their Benjamins, already know what anti-Semitism is. And just as importantly, we know what it isn't. AOC may not be an out-and-out Yahtzee, but you know what? She caucuses with them, she votes with them, and she absolutely 100% supports them. That written by Scott Pinsker, public relations, branding, crisis communication expert in Tampa Bay, Florida. His novel, The Second Coming, A Love Story, is available for purchase on Amazon. Thank you, Scott Pinsker. That was a beautifully well-written story. I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine. Democrats were the one that started the first Civil War, moron. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy, isn't it? Isn't it crazy? But of course, I digress. Good to see you. Good morning, Yamaha. You missed some fun last night. You had a story you could have read, a nice little love story. Alas, Yamaha, you missed it. It was fun. It was fun, but I understand your life is definitely more important than the YouTubes, which is awesome to see. I love it. This morning's briefing is coming in from Stephen Cruzier. Team Trump hacked a month's worth of work into its first 2.5 days. Happy Thursday. Oh, that's right. It is Thursday. Man, time flies when you're having fun. Well, he's off to participate in an annual Greater Poughkeepsie Flan Festival. It is sure weird having a president who shows up to work every day and can stay awake past 4 p.m., isn't it? I'm not going to double check this, but I think Joe Biden had taken 3 vacations by Wednesday of this first week in office. President Trump's work ethic is legendary. And at 78, he has more energy than most people 50 years younger than he is. Trump has wasted no time tackling his ambitious agenda. There's a lot of cleanup on aisle Biden that needs to be done to bring some sense and sanity and normalcy back into the country. The list of wrongs that Trump needs to make right is a very long one, but it's not all daunted by the challenge. In fact, as my friend Stephen Green wrote yesterday, Trump has already cleaned up a mess that predated Biden's presidential reign of error by more than half a century. It seems like it was just earlier this morning, if it was earlier this morning, Steve, that I wrote about President Trump's executive order eliminating federal DEI efforts. But there's more to it. Trump's order also nuked President Lyndon Johnson's executive order EO11246, which established affirmative action with just the stroke of a pen. You may safely assume that it was a beautiful pen, the most gorgeous pen ever used to wipe out 6 decades of discriminatory hiring and admission policy established with a single congressional vote. Yeah, that's a bonus gift that I hadn't expected. There's a lot of LBJ's legacy that needs to be dismantled. Naturally, the Democrats will be shrieking racism, as you've seen, even louder over for a few days. Prior to Trump, that was usually enough to get Republicans to cower and back down. But that's not how the Trump order works, though. Trump knows that the Dems are going to say that everything the Republicans do is rooted in racism. He also knows it's a load of crap. Unlike so many prominent Republicans in the modern media era, this president doesn't live in fear of what the New York Times might say of him. So it's full speed ahead. Trump has surrounded himself with people who have the same kind of vigor that he does. The results are really impressive. Regular readers here know that the insanity of our southern border was the overwhelming top issue of his last year. Trump's policies regarding that began working before he was even sworn in. Athena reports here that illegals began deporting themselves in anticipation of Trump's border crackdown. The new border czar, Tom Homan, had been making the media rounds during the transition period and promised to waste no time in getting real work done. He hasn't disappointed. Donald Trump's new border czar got down to business. The U.S. Immigration and Customs, or ICE, had already arrested more than 300 serious illegal alien criminals, including the murderers and the rapists. ICE agents are very good at their jobs. Unfortunately, Democrats never let them do those jobs properly when they're in power. Low morale at ICE during the Biden years was very well documented. We've seen a lot of grandstanding from Democrat mayors and governors since the elections who have promised to fight the Trump 47's administration ill policies. Over at Hot Air, Ed Morrissey wrote that acting Deputy Director General Emil Bove has served notice to the loudmouth sanctuary crowd, ordering federal prosecutors to investigate any individuals who stand in the administration's way. Here's more from Ed, just on how serious the new and improved Department of Justice is. Now, this kind of obstruction, which was always illegal, will have a high cost for the office holders in sanctuary cities and states. Some might be willing to face federal prosecutors over their activism, but after one or two actually get charged, look for these office holders to switch to a much less substantial and far more symbolic method of protest. And just to make sure this policy sticks, note above now requires all prosecutors who decline to charge obstruction to file an immediate report with the DOJ to review that decision. Well, that should incentivize some enthusiasm for this new policy. That's right. The United States Department of Justice is back to chasing the real bad guys. Now, we've been discussing throughout the transition period, the past couple of months, that there was a very different feel to Trump 47's administration that was taking shape. There's a sense of urgency, of course, which is already on display. The biggest difference, however, is that Trump has surrounded himself with much better people this time around. They are adults who are serious about their jobs and want to do them well. A lot of the people in the Trump 45 administration seemed like they only wanted the gigs so they could get fired and write tell-all books. But just remember, not everything is awful. Not everything is awful. That is how you relax right there. Just a nice, easy, chill time. So glorious. I love it. I love it. I love it. Good day, Funston. Good day, everyone. I'm not ignoring you. There's so much to talk about this morning. So much to talk about. It's a beautiful thing. Like this. Trump announces his move against Russia. President Donald Trump had a busy couple of days back in the White House, and he isn't slowing down. On the campaign trail, he promised he would get the Russia-Ukraine conflict resolved, and I have no doubt we're closer to this war ending than we ever were with Biden as president. The Washington Post reported that 2 days after his reelection, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin spoke for about 20 minutes. During the call, Trump urged Putin not to escalate the war in Ukraine and highlighted the U.S. strong military presence in Europe. Putin also shifted his public rhetoric about the war after Trump took office, claiming to be interested in lasting peace in Ukraine. The goal should not be a temporary ceasefire or a short-term pause for regrouping forces and rearming to continue the conflict later, but lasting peace based on respect for the legitimate interests of all people and nations living in the region, Putin said of the ongoing conflict. Does Trump Trust Putin? Well, I'm sure he doesn't. And on Wednesday, he announced his next move on Russia in a bold post on his social media platform, True Social. In his signature style, Trump both criticized the conflict and offered a solution while weaving his unique narrative on Russia, Vladimir Putin, and the global political landscape. He says, I'm not looking to hurt Russia. I love the Russian people and always have had a very good relationship with President Putin, Trump wrote. But this despite the radical left's Russia hoax. But Trump didn't hold back when addressing this present conflict. All of that being said, I'm going to do Russia, whose economy is failing, and President Putin a very big favor. He declared his proposed favor a plea for Russia to settle down, stop this ridiculous war, because in Trump's eyes, the war is not only unnecessary, but it's also destined to worsen if it continues unchecked. Trump then laid out a sharp ultimatum. If we don't make a deal, and soon, I have no other choice but to put high levels of tax, tariffs, sanctions on anything being sold by Russia to the United States and various other participating countries. This echoes Trump's past use of economic pressure as a foreign policy tool during his presidency, when he imposed tariffs and sanctions on various nations to renegotiate favorable terms. Now, let's get to this war, which never would have happened if I were president. Over with, he asserted. His solution: negotiate now before lives are lost. We can do it the easy way or the hard way, and the easy way is always better. It's time to make a deal. No more lives should be lost. Trump's post showcases a combination of his confidence in deal making, his focus on using economic tools as leverage, his ongoing campaign to position himself as a leader capable of achieving peace. While critics may question his intentions and effectiveness, Trump's message is clear. He sees himself as the person who could bring the conflict to a close. Biden sure didn't do anything to bring the war to an end. Trump has done more to end the war since he was reelected than Joe Biden did since the war began. Pretty true. No truer words are spoken. My family and I are all both south of the city, not having a good day. Well, I want everybody to stay warm and be safe. Everybody be safe. Sean Poe, I'm ecstatic for them all. The J6ers being pardoned, even though the DOCs are being our holes. Yeah. That's not going to end well for them. I can say with a presidential pardon, and they're going to say, oh, no, we're not releasing them. That's not a good thing to be doing. Of course, you have to remember that it takes a while for that paperwork to be processed through, and then it takes a while for them to be processed out. If people were expecting they would be opening the doors like Lazarus rising from a tomb, you got your hopes up a little bit too soon. There is a process they have to go through to get someone out of the prison system. So don't you stress it. Putin has asked Trump to allow Russia to extradite Anthony Fauci for crimes against the Russian people. That would be interesting. That would be really interesting to see. Oh, that would be quite the deal, wouldn't it? Well, not as good a deal as this, because guess who Elizabeth Warren blamed for Biden's family pardons? Who could that ever be? Well, Elizabeth Warren, everybody's favorite senator from Massachusetts, appeared on CNN on Monday night to talk about, I don't know, maybe hunting and gathering the first Thanksgiving, how the white man drove her from her land. But at some point, Anderson Cooper asked her about the familial pardons Joe Biden issued about 15 minutes before leaving the White House and heading off to Shady Pines or wherever it was that they sent him. The last-minute pardons by President Biden to his family members, there were pardons earlier this morning which were reported on, but these last-minute pardons, he chose to, make it last minute when there couldn't be as much attention, obviously, and they wouldn't kind of overshadow the ride to the Capitol. Was that a mistake? Cooper asked. Well, initially, Warren replied with a simple statement: President Biden should answer for himself. Well, fair enough, but she couldn't leave it at that. Not only did she not leave it for Biden to answer for himself, but she also went on to blame someone else for these sneaky last-minute pardons. Donald Trump. Go figure. Warren explained that poor Biden is just a kind-hearted old family man who had no choice but to make these pardons out of fear that Trump might use his sweet little family against him just because Trump doesn't like him. But it's a sad day in America when someone leaving office has to look around and say, am I facing a new president, new administration who's going to come after my family just because they're my family, that's going to come after the people I love just because I love them? Not because they're accused of any crimes, not because they've done anything wrong, but just because they're people I care about. And ever since Donald Trump has said a big part of his argument for being president is that it would be about retribution. It would be about vengeance, and he used it today. There he is making his speech after he's been inaugurated as president. He's still full of how he was wronged, and he was the only one who was mistreated. Jane Guy, you just got elected president in the United States, just sworn in. Come on, enjoy the moment. But no, it's about how he's been mistreated, and he will get even. That's how we run a government and make it work. It's just not about personal vengeance. We run a government to make it work for the people. That's how it's supposed to be in a democracy. But we're not a democracy, sweetheart. Lead, I not remind you there, sweet cheeks. I think it's time to remind Elizabeth Warren about democracy.
Democracy is a form of government based upon the principle of majority rule. Period. End of discussion. Now that's not very complicated. Majority rule. It's easy to understand, easy to sell to the masses, and I might add, deadly. For example, what would you call a lynch mob? That's majority rule. There's only one dissenting vote, and he's at the end of the rope. Now that's pure democracy in action. Now, but wait a minute, you say. The majority should rule, yes, but not to the extent of destroying the rights of the minority. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer describing a democracy. We are speaking of a republic. A republic is a limited democracy. It's a form of government based upon the principle of limited majority rule. Limited so that the minority, even a minority of one, can be protected against the whims and passions of the majority. And how do you protect the minority from the majority? You write down a set of rules on a piece of paper. You say, this we can do, that we cannot. At the top of the paper, you write the word Constitution. And then everyone agrees to follow the rules no matter what the temptation. And when you're finished, you've created a constitutional republic.
Amazing. Elizabeth never learned that in school. Oh, come on, Pocahontas. I'm not even sure Cooper was buying your gaslighting. If that's the real reason why Biden pardoned his family members, he would have done it loudly and proudly in front of the whole nation to continue his efforts to make Trump look bad, not in some kind of hush-hush last-minute backroom kind of deal. Even Hunter Biden was pardoned out in the open, much to the dismay of both Democrats and Republicans, given that most of us had never even heard of some of the rest of these Biden family names. The whole situation left the portion of the country with any brain cells left wondering what else the corrupt family was hiding. Amazing, huh? Biden, of course, issued last-minute blanket pardons for his brother James and his wife Sarah, his sister Valerie, and her husband John Owens, and his brother Francis on Monday. Along with the pardons, he left a statement that read, the issuance of these pardons should not be mistaken as acknowledgement that they engaged in any wrongdoing, nor should acceptance be misconstrued as an admission of guilt for any offense, but it is. You don't need a pardon if you've done nothing wrong. Wild how that works out, doesn't it? Absolutely crazy. Bingo. That's right, Yamaha. Big bingo. Big bingo. I'm going to see if that old salty bastard wants to join me. It's up to you, brother. It's up to you, Yamaha. You're welcome to. I'm sure you've got a lot to say about these fools. Sorry. The House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform Committee Chairman James Coomer issued the following statement in response. President Biden's preemptive pardons of the Biden crime family serve as a confession of their corruption as they sold out the American people to enrich themselves. Our investigation revealed that at least 10 members of the Biden crime family and their associates raked in over $30 million by selling Joe Biden's influence to corrupt foreign entities and individuals in China, Russia, Ukraine, Romania, and Kazakhstan. The legacy media should be ashamed of themselves for covering up Joe Biden and his family's abuse of power, corruption, and obstruction. The American people have seen through the legacy media's cover-up of the Biden's lies. They know the truth. President Biden abused his public office to create a slush fund for his family. President Biden will go down as the most corrupt president in U.S. history, and our investigation will be remembered as one of the most successful ever conducted by Congress. Now, that sounds more plausible. By the way, someone needs to ask the good senator from Massachusetts which administration and political party set the president for going after previous administration just because you didn't like it. I also have to say that Warren looked like she was having a lot more fun when she was on stage with Trump and the Village People the other night. Maybe she should stick to those types of appearances. Good job. Way to go. Yeah, they got her right there. James Spiro says they were told Project 2025 would include gay concentration camps. Instead, they got Trump dancing on stage with the Village People. Amazing, huh? Yeah, that's what they got out of it. Left is so unhinged on these things, they don't know which way it's coming from. And this is from Paula Bolliard. Oh my gosh, Paula. How dare you speak about this? It says, abolish the national cathedral. On its face, the idea of a national cathedral is an anathema to our constitutional republics. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Yet the Washington National Cathedral, an active member of the Episcopal Church, gives the appearance of a state-sponsored religion, or a liberal, non-orthodox religion, from the church's website. The idea for a sacred home for all Americans in the nation's capital is as old as the country itself. Pierre Lafont's original design for the new capital city included a great church for national purpose, an idea that sat idle until a congressional charter authorized a cathedral dedicated to religion, education, and charity in 1893. Construction began in 1907 when President Theodore Roosevelt helped lay the foundation stone. Through world wars, the Great Depression, immense social change, construction ended exactly 83 years after it began, when President George H.W. Bush oversaw the laying of the final stone atop its towers in 1990. It's an architectural masterpiece. It has been doctrinally hollowed out, so it has no business claiming the banner of national place of worship. It's in no way representative of the American people. Only 1% of Americans even identify as Episcopalian, compared to 15% identifying as Baptist and 22% as Catholics. In small O Orthodox circles, the Episcopal Church is an apostate, straying from biblical teaching on female pastors, the LGBTQ array, and interfaith worship services. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance lent their credibility to the National Prayer Service with their presence, as their predecessors have done since the 1930s, that set them up for political lecture by the liberal bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Washington. And Lincoln Brown wrote on Monday, a certain amount of euphemisms is expected and appreciated at such a service. Jesse J. Schwan Jr., chief of the Piscataway Conoy tribe, gave the invocation. Rabbi Susan Shankman read from Deuteronomy, and a cantor, Bush Bortnick, offered the Jewish call to prayer. There were the requisite high-ranking members of the Episcopalian Church and leaders from other Christian faiths, which is fine since the nation is not a homogeneous entity. Curiously, there was a reading from the Quran by Dr. Mohammed Fraser Rahim, the associate imam at the nation's mosque, and Muslim call to prayer led by cantor, I'm not even going to try to say his name, the chief muhaddin of the same mosque. One can understand the desire for inclusivity. But at the same time, Islam makes no bones about its disregard and contempt for other religions, especially Judaism and Christianity, but the formalities must be observed, I suppose. Yet the Apostle Paul warned in 1 Corinthians 6 not to be unequally yoked with unbelievers? For what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness? Or what fellowship has light with darkness? What accord has Christ with Belial? Of what portion does a believer share with an unbeliever? What agreement has the temple of gods with idols? Ignoring the warning in Scripture, the National Cathedral hosts everything from Muslim prayer gatherings to pagan cosmic mass services. No Christian should take part in such services. We serve a jealous God who wrote on stone on Mount Sinai, "You shall have no other gods before me, and you shall not make yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth." Muslims worship Allah, who is not the truing God of the Bible, and pagans worship nature and various gods and goddesses. There should be no kumbaya style mixed worship between Christians and Belial. It's time to change the name of the National Cathedral. How about the apostate cathedral, and stop holding national religious services there? If a president would like to have a time of prayer upon his inauguration, let him attend his own church and allow his fellow congregants to appeal to God on his behalf, and make it clear that is in no way a unified national event. As Lincoln pointed out, we are not a homogenous nation regarding religion. We need to stop pretending that we are with these staged show church services devoid of doctrinal distinction. As our regular readers know, we are not afraid to tackle controversial topics over here at PJ Media. Our writers are free to speak their minds. We don't enforce official narratives. We believe it's okay to disagree, and we're not afraid to be challenged. That's what our comment section is for. If you appreciate their brand of writing without borders, please consider supporting them with a VIP membership. We are in the final hours of the 74% off sale when you use the promo code POTUS47. Do it now and read about the many benefits you'll receive, and then sign up for them if you want. And that's a shout out to PJ Media, because they give so much. 100% facts. He's not simply everyone. Are, if they don't swallow the BS shoved at them. I'll cover it all. Is what I say. USA, USA. That's right. That's right. Oh my, oh my, oh my. So crazy. So crazy. You know what I may do tonight, and I was thinking about this earlier. Unless there's some more ridiculous or stupid platings, I may just watch this guy's little Senate confirmation hearing. I think that'll be fun. That'll be a blast. Just a second. This next person, I really want to watch. I really want to watch Headseth's confirmation hearing. I think it would be quite fun. You guys are welcome to join me if you want. The left wants to weaponize disinformation, not end it. The left has made the issue of disinformation a cornerstone of its rhetoric, often using it as a cudgel to accuse its opponents of undermining democracy. Disinformation and misinformation are undeniably issues worth addressing. The extent of the problem, however, seems to hinge on who is affected and who stands to benefit politically. For some time now, Democrats have warned about the dangers of disinformation, insisting our democracy is threatened by it, and have used this threat to justify assaults on free speech. Taking the warnings issued by Democrats and left-leaning institutions, the Brookings Institute declared in 2022 that misinformation is eroding the public's confidence in democracy. Former President Obama echoed these concerns, claimed that solving the disinformation problem could help rebuild the trust and solidarity needed to make our democracy stronger. These lofty statements might sound noble, but they're too often undermined by actions that suggest the left is more concerned with weaponizing disinformation than actually eradicating it. The case of Pete Hegseth, currently on the verge of becoming Secretary of Defense, exposes this hypocrisy. Democrats, aided by mainstream outlets like NBC News, have attempted to derail his confirmation with dubious claims. The strategy included an affidavit from his former sister-in-law, Danielle Hegseth, who allegedly had concerning behavior that reportedly caused his second wife to fear for her safety. This affidavit surfaced after Senator Jack Reed, a Democrat, sent a letter soliciting information about alleged abuse or misconduct. NBC News was the first to report on the accusations, but the report was, in every sense of the word, disinformation. Why? Because Samantha Deering, Hegseth's ex-wife, publicly denied the claims, calling them false and explicitly stating there was no physical abuse in their marriage. If the alleged victim says it didn't happen, the story didn't meet any journalistic standards for publication. Yet NBC News ran the story, deliberately casting doubt on Hegseth's character, in which can only be described as a hit piece. Ironically, this is the same NBC News that declared a year ago disinformation poses an unprecedented threat in 2024. I guess that expired in 2025, especially since Trump won the election. The selective application of concern over disinformation is nothing new. Democrats and their allies in the media routinely dismiss stories critical of their party as disinformation, often using that label to justify burying or discrediting any story. Best example of this is Hunter Biden's laptop from hell. Even though it was obvious the laptop was genuine, the media colluded with the Biden campaign to cast it as Russian disinformation. And then big tech did everything possible to censor and suppress their story. It wasn't until after the election and Joe Biden was installed as president that the media finally admitted the laptop was genuine. If disinformation were truly an existential threat to democracy, that Democrats claim, they wouldn't resort to spreading it whenever it serves their agenda, nor would they label anything that exposes their flaws and scandals as disinformation, as doing so only dilutes the seriousness of the accusations, much like when they reflexively brand anyone they disagree with as racist. But yes, the confirmation hearings, I think, would be very interesting to watch, to go over to see, just watch how quickly Senator Warren got slapped down, how quickly all of the other ones were left whimpering back to the holes that they came out of. See it in real time. See the whole thing. Maybe I'll do that on a weekend. Just take a nice weekend to do it. By the way, in case you guys don't know, tomorrow will be over with Mo in the Deep End. I would assume it'll be about 8 o'clock in the morning on a beautiful Friday. I'll be hanging out with Mo in the Deep End. It's going to be a good stream. It always is. Mo is a wonderful, wonderful person, and cannot wait to jump in there and have a blast. It shall be good. Howdy to anyone that you missed. Well, thank you, Tammy. Thank you. And howdy. Racism is kept alive by government and media to have a division. Yes, that is absolutely correct. I'm going to give you guys just a couple of minutes. Go grab yourself some coffee. We're gonna play with some otters for a little bit. We'll be back in just a short bit.
Shizzy, when it's chat we thrive, where Shizzy does dance and memes arrive. No quiet moments, no dawn night. We laugh and funny sight. Oh, Shizzy's crowd, you're wild and true, with crazy gigs and jokes that flew. We're living pixels in the stream, a digital dream, a shared daydream. From shoutouts to those random screams, to inside jokes and endless memes, We talk and Shizzy when it's chat, we thrive. Where Shizzy does dance and memes arrive. No quiet moments, no dull night. We laugh and funny sight. Oh, Shizzy's crowd, you're wild and true, with crazy gifts and jokes that flew. We're living pixels in the stream, a digital dream, a shared daydream. From shoutouts to those random screens, and inside jokes and endless memes. In Shizzy Winner's chat we thrive, where Shizzy does dance and memes arrive. No quiet moments, no dull night. We laugh and funny sight. Oh, Shizzy's crowd, you're wild and true, with crazy gifts and jokes that flew. We're living pixels in the stream, a digital dream, a shared daydream. From shoutouts to those random screens, to inside jokes and endless memes. We type our hearts, we spam the love. Our chat rooms like a lit up club. Our chat rooms like a lit up club. Oh, Shizzy's crowd, you're wild and true, with crazy gifts and jokes that flew. We're living pixels in the stream, a digital dream, a shared daydream. Ooh, yeah, we come together night and day. We laugh, we play in our way. A family in a cyberspace, loving hearts in this virtual place. Oh, Shizzy's crowd, you're wild and true, with crazy gifts and jokes that flew. We're living pixels in the stream, a digital dream, a shared daydream.
Oh yeah, we're back with Danielle Smith, the only grown-up in the room. She's a cutie, I'll just say. Even as the most countries' provincial premiers and Prime Minister Trudeau are scheming to a trade war with the U.S. over President Trump's threat of imposing tariffs on Canadian goods, Canada's jingoist Glitterati refused to credit the insight and unflinching character of one premier, Alberta's Danielle Smith, who is largely responsible for striving to prevent the disaster. Smith had met with Trump, various governors, senators, and congressional leaders engaging in rational and mature pre-negotiation discussions treating the contentious tariff issue. She did not come to brandish a cudgel. She came to talk. The typical Canadian stance, however, was made up of equal dollops of alleviation, short-sightedness, and self-infatuation. As press and politicians ganged up on Smith for refusing to join Team Canada's self-destructive trade vendetta against the threat of U.S. tariffs, Canada's newspaper of record, the Globe and Mail, is representative of this mentally sluggish attitude. Smith is fighting Ottawa rather than Trump's tariff. This will cost us all. Yeah, this is for you Canadians. This disingenuous nonsense is palpable since the lax delinquent Ottawa presiding over a porous border is the culprit here, not Washington. Canada's new $1.3 billion border security package pales before the $20 billion it sent to defend Ukraine's borders. For Canada's primary leftist rag, the Toronto Star, Smith's motives can only be sordid and perhaps even treacherous. Danielle Smith cozies up to Trump to sell more oil and avoid tariffs. Alberta's premier is playing right into Donald Trump's hands, etc., 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 etc. One waits eagerly for such people to crawl back into the woodwork. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, bloated with over $1 billion annually of public money and given to awarding staff and executives obscene bonuses, has taken its job as the Liberal Party's propaganda arm seriously, faulting Smith for bailing on Team Canada approach. Team Canada, for all the hype, is a losing proposition, a collection of groveling incompetence that has brought its troubles on itself by feckless mismanagement of political and economic affairs. Trudeau has hypocritically called for Smith to put her country first, which is precisely what she did, and he didn't. As the Western Standard points out, Smith took flack from her fellow premiers, notably Ontario's Doug Ford and the PM, for being the lone holdout on a joint communication that amounted to a ransom note on withholding some 4.5 million barrels of oil per day of Alberta's oil exports. This is the entirely wrong strategy when it comes to dealing with Trump, and Smith knows it. Smith is aware that Alberta's economy has been plundered by the Ottawa cabal for decades to bolster the economy of other provinces, chiefly secessionist-prone Quebec, energy-ravenous Ontario, and the economically derelict Maritimes. At the same time, its oil and gas industry has been decimated by federal bans on extraction, and of pipelines. Thus, she is intent on securing her province's immense prosperity. It is a perfectly legitimate policy. Alberta is no longer to be Ottawa's academy. But Smith's refusal to buckle under the pressure is also good for the country as a whole. We learn that Ontario's Coalition of Concerned Manufacturers and Businesses of Canada, CCMBC, has backed Smith to the hilt. Its president, Catherine Swift, stated despite pressure from federal liberals and other provincial premiers, Premier Smith is truly standing for Canada's interests. Many manufacturers and businesses across Canada, including those in Ontario, rely heavily on Alberta's oil and gas sector. By defending this vital Canadian export, Premier Smith is safeguarding not only Alberta's interests, but those of the entire country. No one can argue that except the congeniality, myopic, and professionally inept. As to be expected, there's a major hitch in potential developments. The usual suspects trash-talking Premier Daniel Smith, writes former constitutional law professor Ted Morton, are curiously silent on Ottawa's threat to impose a new export tax on Alberta oil and gas. In other words, should Trump spare only Alberta's exports, which is a possibility, Ottawa is considering an export tax on Canadian oil and gas that would generate billions of dollars paid for by Alberta producers, essentially saving Ontario and Quebec from economic implosion. But as Morton indicates, Section 92A of the Constitution Act states that all provinces have exclusive jurisdiction to make laws in relation to exploration, development, conservation, and management of non-renewable natural resources. And Section 125 prohibits either level of government from taxing the lands or property of the other. By using the constitutional powers at her disposal and barring a totally corrupt judiciary, Smith should be able to defeat the next predatory federal assault. Among Premier Smith's recommendations for studying and implementation on the Canadian side in order to reassure Trump are the following pragmatic initiatives: enhance border security, strengthen measures to combat illegal drugs and migration along the Canadian-U.S. border, a revamped immigration policy, address immigration loopholes that threaten national security, including American security, obviously, and robust support for Canada's, read Alberta's, energy sector, repeal federal anti-energy policies and fast-track major projects like Northern Gateway and Energy East. Whether or not such proposals are too late, they are Canada's only hope. Daniel Smith is one of the very few significant personalities in that country who is capable of making sense and has the courage of her convictions. Rather than escalate tensions, she wisely advises we need to double down on building a win-win partnership that benefits both nations' economies and security. She seems to be the only grown-up in the room arguing for reasons in diplomacy that would benefit both countries rather than just juvenile confrontation that would hurt Canada far worse than it would ever hurt the U.S. Of course, Trump intends to create a new external revenue service to collect foreign-derived revenues. Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens. He said February 1 is 0 hour. He must be taken at his word. Smith has her work cut out for her and little time in which to bring a successful conclusion. Unfortunately, there's no one else in the country with the smarts or cojones to pursue that task. Columnist Sean Polker, I'm going to say that wrong, at the Western Standard puts it succinctly. Smith's proactive outreach to the U.S. leaders has positioned Alberta as a key voice in Canada's economic and energy strategies, ensuring that the province's priorities remain central to any future negotiations. But she has done more than that. She has made a case for the continued viability of Canada. She has put her political colleagues and Confederates to shame, showing them up as second-rate, vainglorious actors on a crumbling stage full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. She's faced down a decrepit media consortium populated, to put it bluntly, by liars, time servers, and imbeciles. She has resisted the threat of blandishments of a cult of pontificated cowards and the so-called elite who appear determined on a policy of self-immolation. Danielle Smith may be the premier of Alberta, but she has taken on the role of national leader in the absence of any credible alternative. Everything considered, she seems to be the de facto prime minister of Canada. Way to go, Canada. We'll blame you guys. Wendy, smart outdoor plug, dual outlet. I don't know what that means. Thank you. Maybe dumping DEI with incentive lusters. Yeah. No more IRS. No, the IRS will still exist, probably not in the way that you see it currently. He's talking about an external revenue service, which is separate from the IRS. Instead of collecting taxes off the American people, will be collecting tariffs from foreign entities. Whether he'll get that done or not, that's hard to say. But there's this story that I saw. This was the first thing that caught my eye this morning, which was this right here. Reporter asked Trump why he revoked Bolton's security clearance, and the answer is fire. At last, we have a president who can talk to the media without the aid of a teleprompter, and Donald Trump has been doing quite a lot of talking. In the course of reminding us what it's like to have a president who is not in the throes of dementia, Trump has made it clear that during his second term, he intends to enact his agenda fully, and he has been unsparing towards those who tried to impede him doing so during his first term. One of the chief among these was John Bolton, and on Wednesday, Trump was asked why he revoked Bolton's security clearance. His answer illuminated much more than just Bolton's status. They asked Trump, why did you remove John Bolton's security clearance, sir? True to form for the established media, it was a question that didn't particularly need to be asked, as the answer was already contained if one of Trump's inauguration day executive orders holding former government officials accountable for election interference and improper disclosure of sensitive governmental information is, by the way, suddenly a lot of fun to go to whitehouse.gov instead of getting inundated with Biden's regime's woke blather. All you see are Trump's decisive actions to restore America. The executive order states that it is the policy of the United States that classified informations not be publicly disclosed in memoirs, especially those published for personal monetary gain. It adds, national security is also damaged by the publication of classified information. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton published a memoir for monetary gain after he was terminated from his White House position in 2019. The book was rife with sensitive information drawn from his time in government. The memoir's reckless treatment of sensitive information undermined the ability of future presidents to request and obtain candid advice on matters of national security from their staff. Publication also created a grave risk that classified material was publicly exposed. Bolton's security was accordingly revoked. But on Wednesday, Trump made no references to any of that, instead answering because I think it was enough time. It's we take a job. Did you take a job? You want to take it? You want to do a job? We're not going to have security on people for the rest of their lives. Why should we? This was a perfectly reasonable point. Allowing people to keep security clearances because they formerly held sensitive jobs in government gave them access to information that they could use for partisan or other self-serving purposes. The assessment of the notorious 51 intelligence professionals that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation was a prime example of that. People should do their jobs to which they're appointed and then relinquish their security clearances when they relinquish the job themselves. Trump wasn't finished. He continued, I thought he was a very dumb person, but I used him well because every time people saw me coming into a meeting with John Bolton standing behind me, they thought that he had attacked them because he was a warmonger. He's the only one that got us involved, along with Cheney and a couple others, convinced Bush, which was a terrible decision to blow up the Middle East. You know, he blew up the Middle East, and we left. We got nothing out of it except a lot of death. We killed a lot of people, and John Bolton was, one of those guys, a stupid guy. But no, you can't have that for life. You shouldn't expect that for life. Trump's contention, which he stated before, that the Bush-era wars in Iraq and Afghanistan were pointless and wrong-headed, it's one of the foremost ways in which he differs from the foreign policy establishment, yet nothing is clearer than the fact that Trump was entirely correct. The U.S. oversaw the removal of a regime that was not involved in 9/11 and actually a source of stability in the region. That of Saddam Hussein. Yes, Saddam Hussein was a bloody dictator. There are no good guys in this story, but that has come after him in Iraq has been much worse in all manner of ways. Removing him empowered Iran, an error that Obama and Biden then compounded by sending billions to the Islamic regime. The U.S.'s involvement in Iraq also led to the rise of Islamic State, ISIS. Meanwhile, in Afghanistan, as Who Lost Afghanistan shows, we entered in order to topple the Taliban, did so, then stayed long enough to see the Taliban come back to power and benefit from American weaponry and more foolish Biden's largest. Bush's wars accomplished less than nothing, were long overdue for a total overhaul of U.S. foreign policy in line with America First principles. It's good to see Trump taking action against those who are working to keep this from happening. I couldn't agree more. No more endless wars. Did anyone have any other choice given their candidate? Years was more than enough destruction. Yeah. I have some unfortunate news. Afghan asylum seeker murders 2 in Germany. On Wednesday morning, the Bavarian town, and I'm going to say this name wrong, but Offenburg, Germany, an asylum seeker attacked a nursery group. A 2-year-old boy and a 4-year-old man were knifed to death. 2 others have been reported as injured, one of which is said to be another child. The National Pulse reports that Emmanuel O., an Afghan national, was arrested near the scene, has been stalking a group of 5 children before the attack. The children and their teachers noticed O stalking them and attempted to leave the park. That is one O attacked targeting the children. The suspect had been living in a shelter for asylum seekers, according to the Daily Mail. O had a history of psychiatric problems, leading to Chancellor Olaf Scholz to ask why he was still in the country. In a press release, the police stated the Offenburg police, with the support of surrounding departments, launched a large-scale search for the suspect immediately after the incident became known. The 20-year-old was arrested in the immediate vicinity. The suspect weapon used in the crime, a knife, was confiscated. So when people start talking about how dangerous firearms are, just remember. Police have not said anything about O's motives and are asking people not to voice any speculations. The Mail noted that O had already been told to leave the country and that the Bavarian Interior Ministry was under the impression that the suspect had announced that he would leave Germany. His case was then closed. Minister Joachim Herman said that O said he would leave on December 4th. The office closed out the case on December 11th. This raises the question as to why no one ever followed up on the suspect's decision to leave. One would think that the authorities in Bavaria would have at least checked on O's status, given the history of his mental health issues. The frustration is palatable. I'm not playing that. This is the danger that unfettered, unmonitored immigration poses. In the U.S., it has manifested itself in the deaths of Laken Riley, Jocelyn Nungare, and across the United States, in Germany and across Europe, it has been woven into the daily landscape of life. Leftists and whatever remains of the legacy media are beside themselves that Trump hit the ground running with his aggressive immigration policies. And on Wednesday, the Chicago Tribune ran a piece about illegal immigrants who are hiding out to avoid deportation. In a little village, one of Chicago's largest Mexican immigrant communities, streets were mostly deserted and quiet. Tamale vendors, a hardy group used to braving all kinds of weathers, weren't lined up on the sidewalks. The hardware store parking lots where day laborers searched for work also were largely empty. The possibility of mass deportations has terrified some of the area's roughly 400,000 undocumented immigrants, or we call them illegals here, prompting many skip work, keeping their kids out of school and stay hidden until the promised raids end. Their trepidation only deepened Tuesday when Trump administration announced he would permit agents to make arrests at schools and at churches, much to their chagrin. Oh, and I've got one I'm going to show you today. It's going to be a really, really good one. I just want you to see this. This was sent to me yesterday. You're going to love this. Now, the funny part is I know exactly where this person is talking about, and I'm still disturbed that she only has one damn eyelash. She only has one.
They over there on Chambly and Buford. They always be at the farmers market over there on the south side at the big farmers market. But Chambly, that's little Mexico, Chambly, Buford side, all that right there. Oh, they always be at the
Oh yeah, it gets worse.
gas stations too. All the gas stations, QT, they be at the QT when you get off on is that Turner Hill, the one that's over there by the Six Flags? What exit is that? Them all the Mexicans be outside. Riverside Drive, like right before you get to
I know all these places.
Six Flags. You get off on that exit and that QT when you turn to right and the QT on your left hand side. Oh, they over there too, all the time. And then on the east side, you get off on South Harrison, North Harrison, and you go over there to the gas station, like almost to the highway. Oh, they at that gas station right there too. Always on the corner. Always on the corner. Always on the.
She kills me. Oh, that lady, she made me laugh. One eyelash and one blue contact. Well, the funny part is I know where all these places are that she's talking about. It's pretty funny. Yeah. I got a kick out of that. Yesterday, Rosalind Duke sent that to me. After my stream had ended, I had to show it to you. I had to show it to you. It was too damn funny. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let me pull this back up. Oh boy. What the left will never acknowledge is that the chaos wrought by 4 years of an unspeakably irresponsible government and its Machiavellian immigration policies have made Trump's administration's efforts necessary. We don't need any additional problems. And there's no reason we should go out of our way of Germany, England, or the European Union. Many people will be sent back to square one and will have to go back and try again to enter the country legally. As harsh as the left makes the Trump policies out to be, they will protect American citizens. They will also help legal immigrants escape the problems that they have been trying to leave behind and perhaps embrace a future brighter than hanging out in front of a store waiting for work or mowing rich Democrats' grass while being paid under the table. That's the American dream right there. Where you summoned. You're always summoned. I love it when you come by. No, that was a beautiful piece because I know every single person where every part of those neighborhoods that she talks about. Good to see you, Rosalind. Good to see you. Yeah, see, she's just lurking back there. She's just lurking. I got it. Ah, love it. I also have this. I saw this today too. Is Steve Bannon trying to divide MAGA? My favorite superhero growing up was Hulk. He's green. I'm black. It's close enough. Guys, my hair. Did you ever see his TV show? Same dilemma every week. Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me if I was angry. You remember what happened after that? They would beat his ass like an animal. Then he'd get mad and turn into a monster and beat them up and keep on walking like nothing happened. What kind of role model is going to fight that much? After 5 episodes, I was like, hey, man, maybe it's you. Dave Chappelle's 1990 era routine on Incredible Hulk. I was an Incredible Hulk fan too. One of my earliest childhood memories was being punished as a preschool teacher for biting a classmate. Look, the teacher told us to pretend we were animals. She made me an alligator. What's I supposed to do? She threw me in the corner and made me sit in the bad boy chair for the rest of the day. Even over 40 years later, I still vividly remember sitting in that chair, wishing I could transform into the Incredible Hulk so I could beat up that evil, lousy, no good teacher and then bite that kid again. I was a great alligator. And this brings us to Steve Bannon. Well, he is a genius, one of the top thought leaders in MAGA. Back in 2016, he probably received too much credit for Trump's victory, but since then, his role in popularizing MAGA, rallying the base, and keeping the troops engaged has been underappreciated. As a tactician and a strategy thinker, he's one of the keenest minds in the modern conservative movement, but he also fights with everyone. He declared war on Elon Musk, telling an Italian journalist, Musk is a truly an evil person. His sole objective is to become a trillionaire. He will do anything related to make sure that his companies are protected. Quite frankly, the people around Trump are tired of it. We've seen peak Elon, his intrusive nature, his lack of understanding, and the true issues before. Because all the money he put in, I was prepared to tolerate it. Not any longer, emphasis added. Bannon described Muskism as a techno-feudalism on a global scale. In Bannon's estimation, it's going to be the population nationalist movement that'll take Muskism on a break then. But it's not all he's trying to break. He's also launched preemptive strikes, shots at a retired U.S. General, Keith Kellogg, Trump's choice as a special envoy to Ukraine and Russia, warning, if we aren't careful, it will turn into Trump's Vietnam. That's what happened to Richard Nixon. As Political noted, the host of War Room podcast is guarding for major political showdown over United States intervention in Ukraine. He advocates ending America's all-important military to Kyiv, but fears his old boss is going to fall into a trap of being set by an unlikely alliance of the U.S. defense industry, the Europeans, and even some of Bannon's own friends, whom he argues are now misguided. These include Keith Kellogg, a retired U.S. general who is Trump's pick to be a special envoy to Ukraine and Russia. The Political interview was released at 4 a.m. on January 20th, before Trump had ever even been sworn in. Bannon had already made up his mind. Trump's policy will be a failure. And he might be right. But if your end goal is growing a political movement, circular firing squads are lousy vehicles for long-term growth. With any organization, a destroyer can destroy faster than a builder can build. For whatever reason, Bannon seems to be far more interested in policing and enforcing ideological purity than welcoming new MAGA members into the fold. And I agree with this writer so much. Well, thank you so much, Little Fisher. Little Fisher becoming a new YouTube member. Welcome. Welcome to this crazy place. Welcome to the nut house where it gets crazier and crazier by the day. We've got right there. Oh, the virgin material is filling up, folks. It's filling up. That one's for you right there. Become a new YouTube member. You are on that side of my mind today. Welcome, welcome. And as I've said before, this purity test that you see not only from the left but from the right is divisive, and it always will be. Southern girl. I'm a Southern girl. It drops below 40 and it's ice age to me. Exactly. I'm with you on that, Proslin. We love converts, but converts sit back and study for years and years and years and years to make sure you understand the faith, you understand the nuances of the faith, and understand how you can internalize the faith. Bannon said, don't come and go to the pulpit in your first week here and start lecturing people about the way things are going to be. If you're going to do that, we're going to rip your face off. The skeptic would argue that it's simply not realistic for converts to sit in the back for years and years and years. They joined MAGA for a reason. No self-respecting American would stay silent in a movement, forfeiting their right to offer ideas, lest their face is ripped off. It's a lousy growth strategy. Within every political movement, there's room for multiple roles. Trump's world is no exception. MAGA needs someone to police its ranks, but it also needs someone to rally the troops, mobilize the voters, popularize its core tenets. These roles are distinct and different, and Bannon was so good at the latter. 7 years ago, in Trump's first term, Bannon was booted from the White House for blasting Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. The railhead of all bad decisions is the same railhead, Ivanka. He also dubbed Ivanka the Queen of Leaks and freely cooperated with anti-Trump journalists. Eventually, the president had enough. Donald Trump says the Mercer family recently dumped the leaker known as Sloppy Steve Bannon. Smart. So here we are 7 years later, and history is repeating itself. Bannon is attacking MAGA insiders using vitriolic invectives to score political points. It's the same as before, only the names have changed. Steve Bannon seems to have much in common with other outside the political box thinking. Ayn Rand. Like Bannon, Rand was a genius and impossible to read Atlas Shrugged or The Fountainhead and not be dazzled by the magnitude of her intellect. Along with Barry Goldwater, William F. Buckley Jr., and Ronald Reagan, she did as much to popularize conservative tenets, limited government, personal freedom, the virtues of capitalism as anyone else. But she was also utterly impossible to get along with. Nobody was sufficiently ideologically pure. She even led the charge against Reagan. The presidential election of 1976, I urge you as emphatically as I can not to support the candidacy of Ronald Reagan. I urge you not to work or advocate his nomination and not to vote for him. My reasons are as follows. Mr. Reagan is not a champion of capitalism, but a conservative in the worst sense of the word, i.e. an advocate of mixed economy with government control slanted in favor of business rather than labor, which philosophically has as untenable as a position as one could choose. See Friend Kinnan in Atlas Shrugged, page 541-2. This description applies in various degrees to most Republican politicians, but most of them preserve some respect for the rights of the individual. Mr. Reagan does not. He opposes the right to abortion. And there's nothing wrong with being ideologically rigid. There's value to intellectual purity. But in the world of politics, inflexible people get very little done. Just a second. Because in politics, nothing's ever going to be pure enough. So instead of advancing the ball, purists attack their allies. Instead of negotiating the best possible deal, purists flip the table, call the other person names, and threaten to rip off their faces. Due to her inflexibility, Rand's political impact, as great as it was nowhere near what it could have been. And if Bannon isn't careful, he'll share that similar fate. Such is the danger of trying to fight with everybody. Just ask the Incredible Hulk. You guys are awesome. You guys are absolutely wonderful today. So good to see every single one of you here. Yes. We've got another story here for you. And it may turn into two, but we've got this one for you here. Trump signs DC's diversity, equity, inclusion death warrant. President Donald Trump took aim at the federal government's DEI inclusive programs on Tuesday, with an Office of Personnel Management memorandum ordering employees to be placed on leave no later than Wednesday and for DEI offices to be closed down. It's the end of the world, at least to hear the Washington Post tell it, but it helps to think of the Washington Post as a corporate rag in one of those 19th century company towns with interests of parochial as they are corrupt. From Washington Post took aim to NBC saying the DEI employees have been targeted by Trump. Please remember that elimistic rhetoric isn't eliminist whenever the lefty outlets use it. Acting OPM Director Charles Ezel issued the memo following Trump's Tuesday executive order to end radical and wasteful DEI efforts implemented under the Biden cabal. I'd add that they were immoral and unconstitutional, too. Even better, Trump's EO or executive order encouraged business leaders in the private sector to end illegal DEI discrimination and preferences and comply with all federal civil rights laws that undermined our national unity, as they deny, discredit, and undermine the traditional American values of hard work, excellence, and individual achievement in favor of unlawful, corrosive, and pernicious identity-based spoil systems. The New York Times reminded the readers that while Washington, thank goodness, doesn't have the authority to tell most companies how to run their internal affairs, it does have discretion to enforce its rules on heavily relied upon private contractors and subcontractors who would be subject to the new rules. In anticipation of Mr. Trump's taking office, several companies like Meta and McDonald's have rolled back their DEI initiatives, New York Times reported. And I'm pretty sure they don't fall under DC purview as contractors. Washington will suffer wider layoffs, as detailed by Rick Moran's VIP piece yesterday, to the relief of a great nation. Trump and Ezel aren't messing around. The memo orders agency heads to ask employees if they know of any efforts to disguise these programs by using coded or imprecise language, and all DEI material must be removed from web, social media, etc. Nevertheless, you won't be shocked to learn that the deep state doesn't take kindly to having its postmodern spoils taken away from them. Big news! An NSA whistleblower has alerted me that the NSA is attempting to hide their DEI program by renaming it the Equal Employment Opportunity and Accessibility Group. As you can see, the training is the same, and within it you find DEIA as a tradecraft. As Trump learned in his first term, it isn't enough to issue perfectly legal orders. There have to be follow-throughs, firings, and enough examples made to frighten the rest of them in line. Trump isn't wasting time either. According to Washington Post story, OPM acting director Charles Ezel sent the memorandum to federal department and agency heads instructing them to inform all employees of DEI offices by 5 p.m. Wednesday, that was yesterday, that they're being placed on paid administrative leave effective immediately. Well, bye. Way to go, Steve. He launched Vodka Pun and planned on a whim in 2002. He's been on PJ Media since its launch. Wonderful, wonderful writing there. Wonderful writing by that man. Pretty damn smart, if you ask me. Oh, yes. Let's see if we can pull this up and watch AOC flail again, yet again. Oh, what do we have here? What was it that she's doing? What is this? Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? What is that? What kind of salute is that? Oh my gosh. What are you doing? AOC, shame on you. Now I've got something that everyone should be completely scared of. How would you like to wake up in the morning to this happening? How would you like to wake up in the morning to see this happening to your tent?
So this is either a horse or a sheep trying to eat our tent. Holy please don't bite a hole in it. No, it doesn't give a I'm going to have to step out the tent because if it bites a hole in it. Oh my god! Look at all that! Hello.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at how pretty those things are. Oh, it's so beautiful. It had music, and I can't play the music, but that's pretty damn adorable, don't you say? Pretty damn adorable. I have been posting that otters all over the pages on X. Oh, my brother tried to tell me Elon did the salute, so I sent him a picture with all demons doing that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you, Star. I don't blame you. But we do have some leftist tears. We do have some leftist tears. You want to yeah, I think it's time for just a nice showing of some leftist tears right here. Just so tasty.
Hey guys, everything feels really out of control and scary, and I'm really anxious. Elon Musk.
You're wearing a Twilight t-shirt, you
did a
freak.
Nazi salute for some reason. That's so scary. And like Donald Trump's the president, and that's so scary. And like he basically admitted to voter fraud, but we're all just kind of glossing over that. Also, if you look up, this is random. If you look up right now in the search bar on TikTok, the Taylor Swift song, "The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived," it's all like, for me at least, I'll tell you, it's all like replaced with woman ? Like, what is about to happen? Like, I have like such like impending doom and fear, and like, what is about to happen? So I'm just laughing because I'm scared. Like, I don't. Why? Like, I'm not understanding either why Elon Musk is involved. Isn't he not American? Like, what is fucking going on?
Why is Elon Musk involved? Have you not been paying attention? It's like these people did not. Typical leftist to the T. That's our future leaders. Jesus, take me now. No, that right there is the future of the downfall of the United States. That is what that is. It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. But I do have to. No, I'm not showing that. That right there will get me in all kinds of problems. That'll get me in all kinds of problems, and I don't want to do that. And yes, of course, we have heard that there's more forest fires. There's more fires in California. That's an awful thing. It's it's not good. If you want to hear more about that, go check out The Expert. He was talking about that yesterday. He had a nice stream about that yesterday, talking about the fires that were happening there. If we elect VP JD Vance in 2028, we'll see. We'll see. I hope he does a good job. I hope JD Vance does a good job in his position. That's what we always hope for, that any VP is ready to step in at any given point in time, take the reins, and make things go smoothly as possible. We'll see. We will see how all of this goes. And speaking of DEI, I have this next story right here. The archaeology of diversity, equity, inclusion. Not since Hiram Bingham found the lost Inca city of Machu Picchu in 1911. I believe that's Mount Picchu, whatever. In 1911, has such a vanished civilization been found in such a state of preservation as the ruins of the Biden administration overrun by the MAGA forces on January 2025. The character of the 2024 election appears in its profound extent and vast difference from the Biden administration to more constitute a color revolution than routine change in political party. A scope of the sweep can be gathered for President Trump's inaugural speech, which lays out a golden age of America. A break between the defensive, retrograde past and even the promise of a U.S. flag on Mars, all of it built on the wreckage of Obama's third term. It's easy to forget that Obama's third term had its own aspirations. It was once the future, the lost empire of the woke, like every civilization before. And since had its dungeons, hieroglyphics, its cosmic projections, secret tunnels, and networks. They may not have called them that, but that's what they were. The Woke Project was nothing if not an empire of the mind. It had well developed systems of beliefs, a worldview, and even a program for terraforming. It had billions in funding and came with an ace of establishing itself as orthodoxy. Of course, it left its stamp in the ruins. Whether you love it or hate it, the Woke stood for the road not taken. Its proud tower of beliefs, which today are in the hands temporarily, so they hope, of unbelievers like Bingham the Explorer. The intruders will wander among them in wonder. Among their monuments was Executive Order 14035, a coordinated government-wide initiative to promote diversity and inclusion in the federal workforce and expand its scope to include equity and accessibility and other various outliers. From this milestone radiated the DEI highways. At UC Berkeley alone, the Division of Equity and Inclusion had budgeted 36 million and 1,087 full and part-time workers. This was only part of a burgeoning network. For those who think the image of MAGA explorers finding a vast lost city of the woke is fanciful, one should note that the woke see the interlopers exactly the same way as unwelcome barbarians trespassing on their sacred ground, the defilers of their great city. European newspapers described the coming vengeful second term with apocalyptic dread and said that the United States was bracing for a new era of disruption and division. Few imagined then that Trump, twice impeached and now a convicted criminal, would set foot inside the White House again. But even ideologies in decline do not surrender without a fight. California has announced its intention to Trump-proof the state. Governor Gavin Newsom called Thursday for lawmakers to return to the Capitol for a special session to protect California values in preparation for Donald Trump's return to the White House. The special session would be the first of multiple actions on behalf of his administration and the legislature to begin strengthening the state's defenses against what Newsom said was an incoming federal administration that had threatened California on multiple fronts. Unsurprisingly, the European intelligentsia, whatever, I'm not going to get that word right, was also at the forefront against the invaders. Days after the U.S. election, Sweden's Gothenburg Film Festival, the most important event for the Scandinavian film industry, announced that its 2025 event, January 24th through February 2nd, would include a special section focusing on the power of civil resistance and disobedience, featuring films with themes that would incite the MAGA faithful. But confidence in the fight back is more brittle than it has been in a long time. The old swagger is gone. If there's one thing that makes the left nervous, it's MAGA tech bros, shorthand for the genius billionaires in IT, biotech, and space travel. The progressives have traditionally seen themselves as intellectually superior, but the tech bros have shaken their self-confidence. In reality, the tech bros may not be any smarter overall than the rest of humanity, but they are smart enough to neutralize the mystique of the atheist intellectual man of the future that has been so long part of their stock in trade. Suddenly, they seem like second raters by comparison. The fall of a priesthood is perhaps the moment when a first city begins to fall into decay, when it slowly but inexorably joins the ranks of destitute that takes its place in the parade of the lost. Decline for a city begins not when its stonework begins to crumble, but when its ideas no longer hold the community imagination together. When all of a sudden, arguments from authority cease to rain down from the temple steps, and the masses, long presumed stupid, realize that there's a real world of knowledge out there beyond the power of civilization's orthodoxy to prescribe. Then they leave the black stones, wander forth, and forget the temples were even ever there, till time and chance should bring some scholar thence. And speaking of bringing some scholar thence, I have a wonderful piece for you. Let's see if we can find it here. This one right here. This was sent to me yesterday by the wonderful Volstorm. And I think it's perfect. It was more of a whimper than it was a cry. More of a whimper than it was a cry. That was liberals in San Francisco suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, gathered to scream when Trump was inaugurated. It's crazy, isn't it, how that works out? You, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wonderful cheer-ons of this channel. Thank you so very much for joining me this morning. I look forward to having a nice, wonderful stream tonight. Possibly, we'll see. I've got a few things I'm working on. It looks like my store is up and running today. Hopefully, I can get those things pushed through. I've got a few things that YouTube is requiring me of the merchant center, and I haven't figured out what all of that means. Maybe I'll be able to look at it tonight. Maybe I will spend some time getting the store up and running. It's asking me to do a bunch of things because I've not once but twice been denied to opening the store or showing those products, but we'll get those happening. I've been working on getting some of the stickers, the coffee cups, and the hoodies, and all other kinds of things done, and getting those taken care of. We'll see how it actually works out. Hopefully I can get everything up and running. We shall see. Good morning, Knock It Offler. Good to see you. I've got a beautiful sticker for you right there. Let me get that bad boy up here for you. Well, I'm going to start running out of virgin room here, you guys. That's a beautiful thing. Right there. Oh, just barely touching tips right there. Right there. That's for you. Thank you very much, Knock It Offler. I appreciate it. The support is always welcome. Everyone, if you missed it, go back and watch it again. It's a good stream. I did have a lot to say yesterday that was and you're welcome to see the stream from last night if it really interests you. There was a reporter, call that journalist, whatever you might want to call him, that wanted to get thrown into the fray of all this, and then asked for an interview. Well, maybe we'll have a talk. Well, if you're worried about showing your face, we won't do that. We can do it by phone. No. I will say right now that there's a big no. No, I don't do those interviews. If you think I have a lot to say, all you have to do is just go back and watch the streams that I've done. That gives you all of the information that you need to know about me. Other than that, I don't feel like doing interviews with this person because I don't trust them. I don't trust people. I've started shielding myself from these kinds of psychopaths, I guess is the best way to put it, that feel that I owe any explanation for my actions or my beliefs. I don't. I'm me. I'm an entertainer. I like creating music. I like having fun. And to me, this guy sounds like not a whole lot of fun. But everybody, have a wonderful day. Be staying tuned for this evening. It's gonna get wild. I'm sure that there's going to be some wonderful stories that come out today, as there always is, and I'll be here for it tomorrow morning. Actually, not here tomorrow morning. I'll be over on Mo in the Deep Ends. If you guys don't know where to find that, give me just a second. I'll see if I can pull that up for you really quick, because that right there is going to be an absolute blast. I haven't been on Mo's in quite some time, and let me get that real quick. In a new tab right here. This is her channel. Copy, and I'm going to put that in the chat, and then I'm going to pin it up there for you. So give me just a second. So that's Mo in the Deep Ends channel right there. And let me get in here and do this real quick, because I want to make sure that I send everyone over there today. Go check her out. Make sure that you're subbed up. And guess what? If you're subbed up to her and you've got those notifications turned on, you'll see me over there. tomorrow morning. I believe it's at 8 o'clock in the morning is what time those things are going to be happening. Be over there. We're going to have a good time. That is the goal. I'm going to pin this up here for you guys so that way you can see it. That is Mo's channel. I'm going to be sending you guys over there today after we're done here, so you guys can go by, see her, give her a like, subscribe up to her, and just know that tomorrow morning, that is the plan, is to be on with Mo. 8 o'clock, I believe, is the time that she has that set up for. And that's where it's going to be. Just nice and good time with Zimmo. And with that, everyone, have a good day. Stay warm wherever you're at. And with that,
bless your heart. I thought I was the only mentally challenged one here.
Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Early morning, rise and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy Whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java with a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Serious is overrated. Every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town, but in a jest. Morning Whiz is always best. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my god, Shizzy breaks Larry. Shizzy broke Larry.
Oh yeah.
have a warm